to Lose and Talk. Now live in studio, your host, local and national real estate expert and consumer advocate, Ron Siegel.
And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries. As we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media, this is the show that connects the dots of confusion delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots so you know the actions you can take, how your family or business can benefit from current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. I deliver that message every day. Before we get into our intriguing content today, though, please join me in welcoming our featured guest and repeat offender. Rob Von Esch is in the house. Welcome, Rob.
Thanks for having me, Ron. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Glad to have you with us. And let me remind you, if you ever have any over finance-related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you. You can reach out to me directly, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are no operators standing by. I am it. And while I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan or plan to save you money, I personally work with you. Even if you don't have any needs today, save this number in your phone for future reference. 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And yes, of course, we are celebrating today. We celebrate every day on Ron Siegel Radio. The question only becomes, what are we going to celebrate? And today, I think we had some odd stuff to celebrate. National Color Day. Yeah, I don't know what that one's all about, especially for me, because I can't tell what colors go together ever. So that becomes a serious problem for somebody like me. I just... maybe you guys are the same. Whatever the wife tells me to wear, that's what I put on. So it's save a fight, and I don't have to worry about it. If I don't have the right garments on, I have nothing to worry about because I got a hall pass there. I tell you lay it out, I'll wear it. You don't lay it out, don't complain. Non-complaining doesn't work, but it is also, for those of you who have beaten anorexia, it is also National Nut Day. Day is not about the neighbor that lives down the street, the crazy coworker, the politician. It's a food holiday that celebrates, I don't know, this might have been written quite a while ago, healthy and nutritious snacks. That means you probably can't have all the salt on the cashews that I like. I'm just surmising there that could possibly get me in a little bit of trouble. But National Nut Day, cashews are the nut of choice for your favorite radio host, just saying. Moving right along, what's happening in the markets? They're down right now, 116 points. Ow! It's been a rocky road this morning. No, I'm not talking about the ice cream. We were up over 100 points to start the day. Then we end up going down 180 points. Now we're down 120 points. What's going on? Well, we'll talk about that as well. It has a lot to do with what's happening in the Middle East, in Saudi Arabia. Where are we going to head with that whole issue? It's amazing how the media is really intrigued by Saudi Arabia and the one journalist. They didn't seem to have the same level of curiosity when it came to our ambassador in Benghazi and our three other brave citizens. So it's kind of odd there how there's a little bit of a divergence there. Of course, then again, I guess we don't have a video to blame this one on. Moving right along, what else is going on and causing that in the markets? Well, looking at China. Yeah, we're always looking at China because that's one of the president's favorite areas. He always talks about it even.
China?
Yeah, right. And he, believe it or not, I think he's in Southern California,
China.
isn't he? Oh, no, he's in Arizona today. Talking about China. Yeah, what is China up to? So they're basically in the mindset right now, let's see if we can wait out America. We are dealing with this trade war. It is having a significant effect on our friends in
China.
Yes, indeed. And their economy down about 30% while ours continues to grow. But their issue is it is a communist country Their economy might be down, but do they care? Well, the answer to that is no, they really don't care. The issue is that there's a top few percent of the population in China. They have all the money. They control the society. And if the others don't do well, if the others don't eat, they really don't care. That's just the way the communist countries are. So what their game plan is they want to wait out the election. Believe it or not, right after our midterm elections, China will be coming to the table. Yeah, I heard you there, Mr. President. China will be coming to the table. They will most likely make a serious offer to solve the trade issues. And why would I say that? Well, they want to have something on the table before the G20 summit. They don't want to go there with nothing happening and have to face everybody else. I've told you right along, the solution to China will be as soon as we can give them some way to save face. Now, I know that they don't care about the vast majority of their population, but one thing that is important in China... You've got that soundbite going all morning, right? So one thing that is important is saving face. How do they come out of it with the ability of telling their population that they beat the big bad Americans? Well, once they're given that method, that possibility, that analogy, they'll be able to come back and they'll say, okay, well, we'll solve this trade issue. And they'll look like the winner for their population. That's the way it is going to go down. I'm just sharing it with you. I'm giving you my prediction after having done many, many years of transactions in China. So we'll also be watching this week. We're going to have some big news coming out. I believe Friday we're going to hear the first reading of third quarter GDP. So we'll see what that looks like. That's going to be a big issue for what's going on in the markets. And as I shared with you last week, the markets are pricing perfection. So as we continue watching the markets and we continue seeing what's going on in the markets, and we are in the middle of earnings season, and yes, I do play the market a bit on my own, but they're in the middle of earnings season. If stocks do not do well, they will get beat badly. If they do as they predicted, they'll just sit there, no big deal. But if they do well, that's what they're expecting. So they're not even getting rewarded for some of the real big benefits. I reference American Express, right? They came out with a very, very strong earnings report. Yet I look at this morning, the stock is down almost $2 a share. It went up a little bit following the earnings report, but now it's down about $2 a share. Facebook, they come up with their news story of the day. They're up $1.65 right now. We'll see what happens. The NASDAQ up a little bit. But those are some of the issues of why the Dow Jones Industrial Average, as I speak to you right now, down 143 points. S&P down 8.86, and the NASDAQ up 30.41. So we're going to continue watching those numbers. You can see the numbers anywhere. I will continue to tell you why the numbers are what they are. We'll continue seeing what those going on there. We're also watching and seeing what's happening with the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve is in the middle between a rock and a hard place right now, and it's a very, very difficult situation to be in. That's another reason why we're seeing what we are seeing. Here's the issue. Right now, the Federal Reserve grew their balance sheet. No one wants to talk about this. This is the unsung news. So during President Obama's administration, the Federal Reserve grew their balance sheet. They about tripled it to $4.5 trillion. Now, that's just basically printing money out of thin air. Do you think you can do that? It's like saying, I'm going to call American Express today, and I'm going to tell them that they're going to raise my credit limit, and, oh yeah, by the way, I'm not going to make any payments on it. I'll just continue paying a very, very low rate of interest, and I will set the interest rate. Does that work very well? Well, that's the way the Federal Reserve works, right? They set interest rates on the Federal Reserve Open Market Committee, and they increase their balance sheet by $4.5 trillion. Well, now they're slowly increasing interest rates. We've been watching that happen. I've shared with you that we'll probably see another interest rate increase in December, probably 3 more next year, but that's not the big news. The big news is the fact that the Federal Reserve is starting to reduce their balance sheet. What does that mean? Well, as they reduce their balance sheet, that takes demand out of the market. That puts supply into the market. Supply in the market means the bonds go down, interest rates go up. So we're looking at a double whammy. We're looking at interest rates going up because of the lack of a bond repurchase, and we're looking at interest rates going up because of the Federal Open Market Committee increasing those short-term rates. But what is the dilemma that the Federal Reserve faces? Well, once again, they've got a president who can't keep his mouth shut. And yes, I do appreciate most of the actions of the president. Don't like the way he talks. I don't like that part of it. But the job he's doing, he's getting the job done. But here's the issue. If the Federal Reserve stops their increased interest rates, it looks like they've caved to the president. They don't want to give that appearance of caving into the president. They want to maintain their independence. So what are they going to do? Well, that's the issue. They are in between a rock and a hard place. That's the job of the Federal Reserve Chairman, not being helped at all by the President of the United States, who cannot butt out of anything. Now, many of us think these same exact issues. We think that, why are they doing this? But most of us don't have the same level of authority as the President of the United States. So we can say it, we think it, he thinks it, he says it, causes problems. Just the way of this administration, and it's an issue that our Federal Reserve is going to have to figure out how to navigate, or as they say in the Wall Street Journal and Pulsenomics, we may be looking for an economic turndown, also known as a recession, in 2020. You are listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, we get to have a little bit of law education. Rob Von Esch is going to talk to us. Do you have a homeowners association where you live? We might chat about a couple of things that are going on in the associations. Can they get away with what they're doing? We're going to talk about it. We're also going to chat a little bit about, will home prices continue to increase? And rental property tax deductions, what you need to know. All that and more. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Connect with us, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio, on Twitter @Ron Siegel. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams, or simply where you think you can afford? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey, and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Did you know that banks and credit bureaus are rewarded financially if you have bad credit? And the worse your credit score is, the more money they can make off of you? How does that make you feel, knowing that banks are getting rich off of your hard-earned money? How does it make you feel, knowing that if a bank or a credit bureau makes a mistake on your credit report, they benefit from it and it hurts you? The Fair Credit Report Act of 1971 requires banks and credit bureaus to report only accurate information, and nearly 100% of all credit reports are inaccurate. If you're sick and tired of being broke and tired of being robbed by the banks, you owe it to yourself and to your family to call Rondi. Rondi is a FICO-certified credit professional and has helped thousands of people just like you get out of debt and establish great credit. Rondi's number is 855-608-1990. Again, that's 855-608-1990. Or visit creditsanitizer.com. Again, that website is creditsanitizer.com.
Are you a veteran, own a home, and need money? The Siegel Lending Team is here to help veterans refinance and get the money they need. The VA 100 lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value, refinance your mortgages, consolidate credit cards, and lower your payments by an average of $700 a month. And the Siegel Lending Team knows that character means more than a credit score. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 21037, and DRE number 018694552.
Are you a veteran, police officer, firefighter, doctor, nurse, or teacher? If so, you qualify as one of Ron Siegel's VIP heroes, and we have rewards up to $5,000 or $10,000 when you buy, sell, or refinance a home with one of the Ron Siegel radio partners. As one of the heroes, real estate agents will rebate part of their commission, lending partners will give a credit at closing, the title company has special published rates, and many other service providers have incentives too. All you need to do is call Ron Siegel Radio at 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit VIPHeroProgram.com. Just think about what you will do with all the rebates and incentives from the partners of Ron Siegel Radio. Just call us at 800-306-1990 so we can show you our appreciation for your service.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Mortgage Minute today being brought to you by our friends at Gold Star Mortgage. When you're ready for that next mortgage, Gold Star has the programs and the products for you. You just need to give me a call at 800-306-1990. I'll put you in touch with the right folks. Maybe you can save $10,000 to $50,000 on the purchase of your new home by using a mortgage but making your offer same as cash. Think about that concept. It's relatively new, and the only one I know of that has it is our friends over at Gold Star Mortgage. So what is happening in the Mortgage Minute? We did look at the markets in the last segment, but we didn't really look at the bond market, which is what drives the mortgage market. So the 10-year Treasury, 3.187, down just a tick this morning. That's the way the 10-year Treasury. That is the leading indicator for what really is the bond market, which is the Fannie Mae 30-year bond. Right now, that 30-year bond is up 3 basis points, not a whole heck of a lot, which means interest rates are down very, very slightly this morning on the mortgage side of the world. But what is driving it? We've started talking a little bit about that earlier, but with stocks a little bit lower this morning. There's a big rally in China over last night. You would have thought that the market would have gone up. It would have been a carry forward in the United States, but we did not see it. Quiet economic news day, so we looked at technicals to figure out what the market is going to be doing, but we do have a busy news week. Again, highlighted by housing data and the first look at third quarter GDP. So that's going to be a big issue. Several Fed speakers are going to be out there chatting tomorrow, including, yes, former California governor candidate Neil Kashkari will be out speaking, amongst others. The mortgage applications. The FHFA House Price Index comes out on Wednesday. That's my favorite index because it does not count the jumbo loans, the jumbo mortgages, jumbo properties. It's dealing with conforming loan limits, so it's not as skewed. Thursday, durable goods, jobless claims, new home sales. Friday, mortgage bonds. Our GDP comes out on Friday, so that's the big issue right there. That is the Mortgage Minute, again brought to you by our friends over at Gold Star Mortgage. So let's chat a little bit. Rob Von Esch, attorney here in Southern California, Orange County, is with us, not giving us legal advice this morning. He's here to try and help us understand issues within the law. If you want legal advice from Rob, you can get that. You just have to give a call to his office, get on his calendar. That's how he feeds his family, so it will cost you some money. But we're thankful that he comes in from time to time to help us educate or get educated. So good morning, Rob.
Good morning.
Glad to have you with us. Let's chat a little bit on some new biggest issue I hear all over. So I'm out in the Coachella Valley a couple days a month, Irvine, Anaheim Hills. Every once in a while I come across individuals who say that they have a property with no homeowners association, which is very rare anymore.
It is.
So let's talk about the homeowners associations and how much control do they really have?
They've got a lot of control, but the good news is it's pretty easy for a homeowner to go and look at a group of laws or other sources to find out what their rights are as a member of a homeowners association. Most of what I'm going to be talking about is stuff that is in the Davis-Sterling Act.
Davis-Sterling Act, okay.
And if you were to want to find that on Google so you can figure out what the Davis-Sterling Act says, what your association can or can't do, just go to Google and type Davis-Sterling Act, and you're going to find a lot of things that will link you to that group of laws will pop right up. It's California Civil Code 4,000 through 6,150, and that group of laws are the Davis-Sterling Act.
And then we won't be able to understand what they say anyway, because they're probably written by either attorneys or politicians, and most of us can't understand either one.
Right, and you all know attorneys want to write these laws so that you have to go hire us to tell you what they mean. So
exactly. Sure. So let's talk about a couple of the more popular items right now. Right now, obviously, we are in political season. I run a Facebook page that gets a little hot sometimes, what's the rules here on political activities within these associations?
Perfect time to talk about this one. So if you live in an association, and let's say, for example, it has a clubhouse or a pool gathering area, and you want to use it because maybe you yourself are running for office, or you're involved in politics and you want to invite a politician to come in and talk about his platform. Well, do you have a right to do that as an owner in an association? And the answer to that question is yes, you do. You have a right to use the facilities.
Wow.
And the association cannot require you to pay a rental fee for it, for example, to use it for those political purposes.
What if they normally charge a rental fee?
The code says if it's going to be used for political purposes, they're not allowed to charge the fee for that reason.
Wow.
So
I might want to do that even if I'm going to do a seminar. I'm going to bring a politician in just to say hello. Save me the money.
Yep, and that's what lawsuits are all about. Somebody's going to try that, Ron, for sure.
No one heard that. We've only got 7 listeners.
And they can't require you to provide additional insurance for using it for the event. So there's all kinds of ways that traditionally associations would try to chill that political activity or speech by charging fees or having other insurance requirements that now no longer apply. Now there's a law out there that's part of the Davis-Sterling Act, that's Civil Code 4515, that says you can use the room for political activity so long as you do so reasonably. Now, I don't think you can have somebody come in that is, for example, maybe an independent candidate who just so happens to be a witch doctor and he's going to bring a bag of rattlesnakes in, you know.
Okay, so that's where the
yeah. I mean, it's. Well,
I love when they put the term reasonably in
right.
there. That's the word that gets the retainer.
Right. You know what I think is an interesting issue, though, that's going to push the reasonable requirement is what happens, though, if you're going to bring in a candidate who happens to be very politically conservative. In Southern California, you know, it's not exactly politically conservative territory. So what if you wanted to have
Many of us have problems there.
What if you wanted to have President Trump come and speak? You know, I mean, you can imagine what kind of controversy that might bring. Is that going to
be a little extra security, though? Right.
Is that going to be a reasonable, you know, exercise of the use of the facility? I mean, if it has major disruption to the association, is it still going to be okay to do it? Is that within the realm of reasonableness? And I think that's going to be the interesting litigation you're going to see out of this, is certain politicians coming through that are mainstream and part of a mainstream party like the Republican Party.
Interesting. Now, what about signs? I mean, I know that I was told recently, and I actually did some research on it, that, you know, if you have a political sign in your front yard, you know, you have the right to have it there, and if somebody destroys that, that's actually a federal offense. You know, so what about in the association? Can I have a sign in my yard in the association?
During times of political activity, you're allowed to voice your First Amendment rights. You just can't do it unreasonably. Again, you go into this realm of what is fair. So, for example, if I wanted to have a banner wrapped around the entire face of my house, that is unreasonable. I mean,
okay. But I could put a yes on 5, no on 10, no on 11
in your window or whatever. Yeah.
Okay, so what about my front yard? Could I do that in my front yard?
You can put a sign in your front yard, and then it gets into, though, in some associations, is it really your front yard or is that community property? So it just depends on, if it's your property or not, truly.
Well, in a association, I guess there are some areas where you've got common ground.
Right.
And in condos, then it's an undivisible property, isn't it? Isn't that how they term a condominium? Is you've got an indivisible ownership right or something like that?
Yeah, it's typically what you'll see. Yeah, you'll have a one, whatever fractional interest indivisibly in the common area. Yes.
Gotcha. Okay, so little fascination there. Now we've got some new things coming up though that. Now, how old is this act, this Davis Sterling Act?
Oh, it's been around, I think, since at least going back to the 80s or so. But that law that I just told you about as far as political activity, that was new as of this year.
Okay, so being that we're talking new stuff, maybe what I want to chat with you about is the newest part of California's world. When we come back, we might even chat about how does this all affect the marijuana laws. So we'll chat about that with Rob Von Esch. Turn that bong off, guys. Come on. Okay, we're going to talk about that with Rob Von Esch when we come back. You are listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. We're going to also chat about home prices. Are they going to continue to increase? And rental property tax deductions, what you need to know. All that and more. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Connect with us. Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio, on Twitter @Ron Siegel. Stay tuned. We will be back in just a few.
Siegel Lending Team offers you buying power. Let's say you can afford a monthly mortgage payment, including principal and interest, of around $1,900. With today's rate on a 30-year fixed mortgage of 3.75%, APR 3.85%, that payment could support a $416,000 mortgage. But if you wait and rates tick up to around 6.5%, which is roughly the average home mortgage rate over the past 30 years, that same $1,900 mortgage payment, including principal and interest, may only be able to support a $314,000 mortgage. That's over $100,000 worth of home you're missing out on by waiting. That's buying power. All you need to do to get started is reach out to the Siegel Lending Team at 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Or visit SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com. Payment example excludes taxes and insurance. Call us for full details, 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990 or SiegelLendingTeam.com. Equal housing lender, licensed under NMLS number 217037.
Are you purchasing or own a luxury home? If you're like so many others, your home is your largest asset and the mortgage is your largest debt. The Siegel Lending Team has some amazing financing opportunities right now. Jumbo loans up to $2 million, 30-year rates below 4%, 15-year rates near 3.5%, and if you can believe it, 7-year interest-only hybrids in low 3s. The Siegel Lending Team has all the options for your jumbo or second home loan requirements. Take advantage of them while you can. To learn more about all the other financing products available from the Siegel Lending Team, call 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com. Again, call 1-800-306-1990. Rates subject to change without notice. Licensed by NMLS ID 217037 and 145502. Equal housing lender.
Homeowners that are 62 and older are about to find out a great way to live a better retirement. It's called a reverse mortgage, and SLT can help you learn more. Call the Siegel Lending Team at 800-306-1990 right now to receive your free booklet with no obligation. It answers questions like how a reverse mortgage works, how much you qualify for, the ways to receive your money, and more. When you call the experts at Siegel Lending Team today, you'll learn the benefits of a government-insured reverse mortgage, how it will eliminate your monthly mortgage payments, and give you tax-free cash from the equity in your home. Here's the best part. You still own your home. Now is the best time to take control of your retirement. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990 to get your free brochure. Call today or visit our website at SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com. Or simply call 800-306-1990.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions, as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The real-time real estate segment today being brought to you by the area trusted real estate professionals of Ron Siegel Radio. Text NEST, N-E-S-T, to 79564. Find your dream home before someone else does. Will home prices continue to increase? There are many unsubstantiated theories about what is happening with home prices, from those who are worried that prices are falling. Continue to increase. There are many Where'd we get that one at? unsubstantiated theories about what is happening with. Interesting. Sound like little background sounds there, guys. From those who are worried that the prices are falling, data shows this is untrue. To those who are concerned that prices are, again, approaching boom peaks because of irrational exuberance, this is also untrue, as prices are not at peak levels when they are adjusted for inflation. There seems to be no shortage of opinion. Everybody has one. However, the increase in prices is easily explained by the theory of supply and demand. Whenever there is a limited supply of an item that is in high demand, prices increase. It is that simple. In real estate, it takes 6 months' supply of existing saleable inventory to maintain stable pricing. In most housing markets, anything less than 6 months will cause home values to appreciate. Anything greater than 7 months will cause prices to depreciate. Put a chart on the social media channels this morning to show you all about this. According to the existing home sales report from the National Association of Realtors, the monthly inventory of homes for sale has been below 6 months for the last 5 years. Bottom line, if buyer demand continues to outpace the current supply of existing homes for sale, prices will continue to appreciate. You have to have a great real estate professional. You have to price properly. You have to market properly. And houses are selling if those things are being done. And obviously, you also need to give your real estate professional access to your property. It's amazing how many times I hear that, well, you can see the property on the 5th Wednesday of the month, and then wonder why it doesn't sell. Well, do you think somebody's really going to buy your house sight unseen? There are a few out there that do it based on price, but for the most part, people want to know what they're spending $250,000 on, or $500,000, or whatever the number is. That is the real-time real estate segment. Again, brought to you by the area trusted real estate professionals of Ron Siegel Radio. Text NEST, N-E-S-T, to 79564. Find that dream home before someone else does. And we've got that new app coming out. Hopefully I'll have all the details on it later this week. Take pictures of the house you're visiting, and it goes right into the app so you remember which it is, and puts the payment information right there for you as well. Again, text NEST, N-E-S-T, to 79564. Continuing our conversation, Rob Von Esch is in the house. We're chatting about homeowners associations, current laws, maybe even conflicting laws, but I don't know that answer. So we're talking before the break about being able to political events in your homeowners association and using the homeowners association common area for these events. So if you didn't catch that information, it is in the prior segment. We will have it on the Ron Siegel Radio 1, Ron Siegel numeral 1 on YouTube. We'll get that information there. But let's talk about one that's a interesting subject, I guess conflicting laws. So being that Rob is here, let's ask him about it. We know that marijuana is illegal from a federal standpoint.
Right.
It's legal on a state level.
Right.
Don't know how that works, being that I thought that federal law trumps state law, but I'm not the attorney. But what about in a homeowners association? Can I go out in the front yard and just light it up, or however they do that? I'm not a marijuana drinker, or smoker, or whatever they call it, but can you do that?
So in California, in fact, even in the United States, you do not have a constitutional right to smoke. Our federal constitution doesn't give you a right to smoke, and neither does the state constitution in California give you a right to smoke.
Wow, okay.
So there's a lot of misconceptions misconception then based on the fact that California has legalized marijuana. First it started with the medical legalization, and now it's really gone to mainstream recreational use legalization. I mean, as you know, you could just go to a store. There's one that's famously off the 55 freeway as they're going to Newport Beach, and you can't miss it. I mean,
right.
Big
Massive
signage
sign
everywhere.
Yeah.
You can just go in there and buy something now for recreational purposes. So because it's legal for purchase and use, does not, though, give you the right to just go out in public and light it up. And in the context of homeowners associations, you certainly can't just spark it up in your house or go outside and smoke it, because it's still smoking. So I would not think of marijuana any differently than I would cigarette smoke. So if it's something that becomes offensive to somebody else in the sense that the smoke is so noxious and it's passing through the ductwork within the common interest building, for example, and now I smell it through my wall, or I smell it coming through my vent, and I don't want to smell smoke, it's going to be treated no differently than cigarette smoke would. And that is, if it's a nuisance, you have a right to make requests to have that neighbor stop using the product within his unit if the way he's doing it or she's doing it is causing you to not be able to comfortably use and enjoy your property. It's really no different than any other nuisance, like loud music or other offensive activity that would disrupt your use and enjoyment of your property.
So how do we identify, the example you just gave, loud music, how do you identify what's loud?
It's kind of one of those things like the Supreme Court famously said, what's offensive activity? And, the decision at the time was, well, I know it when I see it. And I think that's just kind of how it is. I think it's one of those things where you know it when you see it. So is it offensive use of marijuana? I think it's one of those things where you know it when you see it. So if, for example, you were able to go get your property manager, if you're living in an association, and you say to your property manager, come over here right now. Let's say it's an on-site manager who's able to do that. Come over to my unit right now and smell what you smell. Can you smell how the marijuana from my neighbor's home is passing through the wall, passing through the ductwork, and now I could smell it everywhere within my home? If that manager was to come over and verify that, I would think that that would qualify as one of those things where this is unreasonable and offensive conduct. You know it when you see it, because you're not just now using marijuana in your unit and keeping it to yourself. The way you're using it is you are now impacting me.
So let's take it another step further, Rob, is, I don't know of any job one can apply for nowadays without having a drug test or some sort of a background test. If my neighbor smokes marijuana and I smell it, that means that it's obviously infiltrating my body. And now I go and I fail a background test because of it. Do I have a claim of action against the neighbor?
Ooh, that's interesting. I don't think
I'm throwing stuff at you.
First of all, I think that would be unlikely. I mean, I'm not an expert on drug tests, but what I do know about it is I think just being, like, for example, at a concert and having, some amount of it pass through your system just because you happen to be in the same vicinity as somebody else that's smoking isn't typically going to be enough to trigger positive results that are going to have you fail a drug test. But that would come down to me. The answer to your question, though, wouldn't be whether I failed the drug test because of the neighbor. It would be, did the neighbor do something that was unreasonable? Did the neighbor do something that he knew or should have known that was going to cause me to fail that drug test? So then you got to ask yourself, what if the neighbor is just, smoking a part of a joint? He's relaxing at night with a friend or something and they smoke a half a joint. No one has ever complained before about him doing that. And then 2 weeks later you come back and say, hey, I'm your neighbor, I failed a drug test because of you. Should that neighbor have known or have reason to know that by doing that the smoke was bothering you, was going into your unit, and then going to rise to the level of causing you to fail a drug test? My suspicion is, if you're asking me to bet whether that neighbor would have a cause of action for failing the drug test, I think he would lose that case. I think that's a case that he would probably lose all day long on.
And that sounds pretty reasonable, right? I mean, because you wouldn't want to think that you could be liable for something you have no clue. Right. I mean, I wouldn't even be going and telling my next door neighbor that he would have no way of knowing that I'm going for a drug test and that I need him to refrain.
How about this, though? Here's an interesting little twist on this. What if I have cancer. And the only way that I'm able to keep myself from being nauseous, to be comfortable, or to perhaps eat because I don't have an appetite is to use my medically prescribed marijuana. Does that change anything? Now that I have a doctor's prescription and I have a legitimate disability that requires me to use the medication of marijuana. So I think now you've got this interplay of, well, I'm doing something that I need for health reasons, but yet maybe the way I'm using it, which is smoking, is still causing an offensive and nuisance type condition to a neighbor. So what happens there? I think people sometimes think, oh, because I have a medical marijuana card or I have a prescription, and perhaps I'm even disabled, so I have different rights as a disabled person. Now I get to use the marijuana however I want in my home. I think not so fast. It's still a nuisance. And if you have reasonable alternatives besides smoking that would still allow you to use the marijuana and get the benefits of it, for example, such as taking it as an oil or taking it in the form of a pill or eating an edible, that's what you must do. You don't just have a right to use the product offensively, even if you do have a disability and a prescription.
Interesting. And the worst part of the whole thing, at least in my opinion, is what the governments have done to those people who are as square as I am. And I say that, because I look at it and say, something? The federal government says it's against the law. The state government says that it's legal. And somebody that wants to abide by the law, how do we know what we're supposed to be doing? Right? Well, that's what really becomes a challenge.
And I think it's one of those things where you clearly are breaking the law. And if somebody wanted to get you, they could get you. I mean, just because it's legal in our state, I mean, if you maybe made the wrong person upset on a federal level, could they somehow have a federal claim against you because you're using something that's still a felony and I forgot what they call it, Schedule C narcotic? Yeah, they probably could. I mean, it's an interesting world that we're living in right now, watching states literally rebel against the federal government in some regards. And I really do think this is state rebellion.
Sure.
Typically the way the Constitution is set up is, in my opinion, is that there's the supremacy clause. So if the federal government passes a law, all the states must abide by it under the supremacy clause, unless it's somehow an unconstitutional law. And I'm not aware of anyone successfully stating a case to say that the federal laws regarding the legality of marijuana are unconstitutional. So therefore, it seems like the supremacy clause should make the federal law the law of the land, which is why a lot of times in corporate America, you don't see banks willing to do business with these marijuana businesses that are legitimate businesses and very profitable businesses here in our states, because they are regulated by federal banking regulations. So they're afraid of that interplay of, well, we don't want to do something that is a federal violation of law, even though it's legal in the state. And we need the feds on our side because we're doing federal type business that's subject to federal regulation in many ways, and we don't want to run afoul of that.
And what happens if somebody gets broken into? Then who are they going to call? That's going to be a fascinating issue. We're going to talk more with Rob Von Esch when we come back. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. Rental property tax deductions, what you need to know, all that and more. You can reach me anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Connect with us. Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio, on Twitter @Ron Siegel. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Are you living in the home of your dreams, or simply where you think you can afford? Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey, and the area-trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Most businesses struggle to get the online reviews they need to get a competitive edge over their competition. Rex is a brand new technology that uses text messages to direct happy clients to your online review sites, Zillow, Google, Facebook, and Yelp, and unhappy clients to a private survey, so businesses can win more customers. Try Rex today by going to www.meetrex.com. Are you currently renting a home? Do you like paying someone else's mortgage payment? Why not explore the options to purchase your own home? Can you imagine a 30-year fixed-rate loan below 4.25% APR? This means with $10,500, you can purchase a $295,000 home and have a principal and interest payment of about $1,400 per month. What are you paying in rent? Does your family deserve the opportunity to take advantage of the current market? To learn more about these exciting opportunities, the Siegel Lending Team is standing by to speak with you. Call now, 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com. Or 1-800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by NMLS ID 217037 and 145502. Equal housing lender. Not endorsed or sponsored by any government agency.
Do you have a goal of mortgage-free home ownership? What if your home was valued at $500,000? Are you aware that a free and clear home could be costing you $2,500 every month, $30,000 per year? The mortgage planners at the Siegel Lending Team would like to show you how you can own your home, generate tax-free income, and accumulate family wealth. You simply need to call the Ron Siegel Team at 1-800-306-1990. That is 1-800-306-1990. By sending the team a copy of your most recent mortgage statement, the team will send you a no-obligation real estate plan. You be the judge if this is right for your family. Again, all you have to do is send the team a copy of your mortgage statement by email to reap@ronsiegelradio.com or call today. Ron Siegel, 1-800-306-1990. That is 1-800-306-1990.
Rate subject to change and without notice. Licensed by the California DOC and BRE NMLS 217037 and 145502 and Cal BRE 01869452 and 1866775.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That's my message, and as your consumer advocate, I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Word on Wealth segment today being brought to you by CreditSanitizer.com. You have a credit report. It is wrong. What are you doing about it? Credit Sanitizer has these solutions for you. Rental property tax deductions. Being a landlord can significantly bolster your savings, but it's also a lot of work. On top of the finances and responsibilities of your own living space, you have to find tenants, secure insurance, pay a mortgage, and property taxes. Renting a home can also complicate your personal tax situation. Luckily, Uncle Sam allows you to deduct some expenses associated with running a rental property. The IRS stipulates that deductible expenses must be ordinary and generally accepted in the rental business, along with being necessary for managing and maintaining the property. From mortgage interest and insurance to utilities and repairs, here are some of the rental property tax deductions landlords should take advantage of. Loan interest is one of them. Property taxes, insurance premiums, depreciation, maintenance and repairs, utilities, legal and professional fees, travel and transportation. You got to go see the property. Office space. How to claim rental property tax deductions? Well, it's very simple. Go see a CPA. They're the ones that know all these rules. What I want you to know, what I want you to learn from what we're chatting about is there are benefits to owning it. I know a lot of people that have rental property and they're able to go visit their property. It might just happen to be out in the desert, in the mountains, at the beach, and they get a benefit of visiting their own rental property and writing off that trip. I am not a CPA. I am not an enrolled agent, but I would suggest you talk to one of them and find out what all the rules are. Let them help you. They can save you some money potentially and get you on the right track, keeping you free and clear of Uncle Sam, hopefully. That is the Word on Wealth segment, again, brought to you by CreditSanitizer.com. Continuing our conversation, we are chatting with Rob Von Esch this morning. We're talking about Homeowners Association rules, laws, talking about some of the new issues of America today, talking about common areas, the political environment. Boy, that can be fun, Rob, having a sign for one candidate or another right next to each other from neighbors. And if they're both extremists, you could really have a real battle going on.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I mean, because the issues are not really, in my opinion, with the centrists. Right? I mean, most people know that I'm a bit on the conservative side, and I love a good debate with somebody who has a differing opinion, as long as we're both being respectful and, you know, one or both of us might learn something. But the extremists on both sides, you know, that end up going to insults and vulgarity, that's where I think you find the battles. And does that rise to the level that the association could say, you know, that this is causing other people a lack of, now I'll go back to the early 80s when I did my law classes, the one or two that I had to for business, right, which gave me enough knowledge to be dangerous. I think they called it quiet enjoyment.
Right.
Is that still a real term?
Very real term, absolutely.
So if I've got two people that are really fighting with each other, politically diametrically opposed extremists, and I'm a third party there, can I have a right to, you know, to complain about that?
Yeah, I think that's what you got to really dissect what's going on. So, for example, is the sign that's maybe in somebody's front yard the problem, or is the manner in which the person is advocating his political beliefs beyond the presence of the sign in how a neighbor, for example, is advocating their opposition? It's going beyond a sign. Clearly, the sign isn't the problem. It's the two individuals who are yelling and screaming at each other,
right,
and perhaps destroying property, and depending on how far they're taking it, what they're doing. That's what's really causing the disruption. So in my opinion, the way the law would shake out on this is you have the right to have the sign there. You have a right to voice political opinion, and you have the right to voice political dissent. What you don't have the right to do is to destroy somebody's property, enter somebody's property without their position, or without their permission, I meant, and to otherwise be yelling and screaming or otherwise interfering with the use and enjoyment of my property as the third-party neighbor who's kind of caught in the crossfire. And if it goes to the point where you're literally yelling and screaming and causing a ruckus, then yeah, you're probably doing something that is going to result in law enforcement coming out eventually and telling you to keep it quiet. Or if it persists and you're doing it over and over again, you might even have a civil suit filed against you for an injunction to stop you from doing that.
Just what you need to do is get involved in litigation over some of these things that you're not going to change anybody's opinion anyway. Right? When you're extremists, you're not changing anybody's opinion.
And if you're out yelling and screaming like that, you're probably going to just cause somebody to even more harden their stance, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm with you exactly, Rob. I mean, again, you can change somebody's opinion by a civil debate, because someone may have learned something that they didn't know in advance, right? I mean, you look at Anaheim especially right now, you got this Measure L going on. And one side is saying, well, we need a living wage, and the other side is saying, you know, entry-level jobs are not for the living wage. That's for somebody for a training job.
Right.
Right? I mean, it's a whole different world, and maybe the living wage side didn't think of it that, you know, your kid's the one that may lose his job.
Right.
Because the employer can't afford him anymore.
Right. Or it's a job that's just meant to be, I think maybe you even said it, it's just for a temporary station in life. You know, I mean, this is something you do for a few years, maybe while you're looking for that better job or you're going to school, whatever the situation may be. Maybe it's just extra income, but you're right, it's not meant to be what you do forever.
Exactly. So I love, here's my favorite item to put you on the spot with, Rob, is give me another. I love the stories from, especially because you get all this case information that you kind of build off of. Are there other fascinating stories you've come across in the world of the homeowners associations?
Fascinating ones? Well, I had a recently very contentious case that was all about the right to a view. And it's incredible what a view will get neighbors to do to one another. I mean, you want to watch people get uncivilized with each other real quick in a way that you would think maybe only politics or religion would cause people to do. Try blocking somebody's view and see what happens there.
Wow, okay.
So I was asked the question by somebody who came to see me, and she had said, do I have a right to a view? And she just assumed that she did. She was surprised to learn that in the state of California, you do not have any right to a view. There's no law that says you get to have a view. It's not in our Constitution. It's not in the Civil Code or anywhere else. So I said, do you live in a homeowners association? She said, well, yes, she does. I said, now, some homeowners associations do give you a right to a view. So if you live in an association that says you have view rights, those are valid and those are enforceable view rights that you could take your neighbor to court and have that neighbor, by a court order, compelled to remove the tree, to remove a shed or whatever it is that's interfering with the view rights that you have in accordance with the CC&Rs.
Interesting. So that's another one. Just watch out for that. Something. I think my whole opinion of a lot of these things comes down to the golden rule, right? I mean, if is the tree being 30 feet tall that important that you're gonna upset your neighbor that much, right? I mean, and try and just do things that are good for a good community.
Right.
Right? I mean, and with all due respect to Rob, try and keep the lawyers out of it. I mean, there's more than enough legitimate stuff to keep you guys busy.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? Although I got to say, those view cases are as hotly contested sometimes as people would fight in divorce court or something. It's just incredible what kind of money I've seen people spend on these view cases. I've got one that's starting right now in a very expensive beach area, and a developer bought at the house next door from an estate sale and put a bunch of money into it, improving it, and then was going to flip it and turn a profit. Well, from the upstairs balcony, master bedroom balcony, there would be a ocean view if he was to be able to get the trees removed that have been on my client's property for the last probably 40 years. So rather than trying to work something out with my neighbor just came home one day to find a landscape crew up in his tree with chainsaws topping them all. So now there was a view from the master bedroom. So you can imagine how my neighbor feels about having his trees removed without his permission, trees that he loved, that he has spent many years cultivating and beautifying. Now they're gone. The property next door is worth a tremendous amount more because it now has this ocean view, and they can advertise that on the MLS and show these great view pictures. But you can imagine how upset my client is.
Sure.
So, I mean, we're getting ready to see World War III play out over these trees. And what you might not know is if you intentionally remove somebody's trees, the law then allows you to have the trees appraised at their mature value, which you'd be shocked at how expensive some of these trees are. I mean, we're talking, in some cases, $100,000 trees.
Wow.
And then you get ×3 if you intentionally removed somebody's trees without their permission. So if it's a $100,000 tree, it's now going to cost you $300,000 as a result of what you did. Now multiply that by the amount of trees that were removed, and you can see the numbers add up fast.
Wow, amazing stuff. Love watching these. We're going to have to get you to come back here and tell us how this plays out down the road, and be sure to set that first radio preset button to come back here every day to join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. A big thanks to John, who's engineering us today, and of course a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or to meet any of our guests, you want to talk to Rob Von Esch, give me a call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Connect with us, facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio, on Twitter, @Ron Siegel. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just, well, actually, we're not going to be back. We're going to be back tomorrow. So remember, make a lot of money, help a lot of people, have a lot of fun, have a great day. Again, we'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.